The year is 1715. The War of the Spanish Succession has ended, and King Philip has mourned the loss of his queen. The king will marry again, it is certain, and his eye and heart are set on the Duchess of Palma. But such a prize does not come without a cost. The Duchess demands a dowry of which has not been since the reign of King Solomon. Jewels, she wants the riches of the New World. The king, in his desperation of a wife and counselor, agrees. For 2 years, the war has prohibited all ships from crossing the Atlantic Ocean. And for 2 years, the local government's tribute to Spain has piled high in warehouses near the coast. Now that the war is past, the waters are safe and the tribute must be made in one motherlode hall across the unfathomed depths of the Atlantic. Thus, the Spanish Plague Fleet of 1715 is formed. The fleet is formed in 2 separate ports. Half the ships are loaded with coins from Cartagena and South America, while the others receive cargoes of gold and silver ingots from Veracruz in Central America. Now, they have met in Havana, Cuba, where the tribute of the last 3 years awaits. Delayed by the sheer amount of treasure, the captains of the fleet, Don Antonio de Archeves and Don Juan Esteban de Villa, begin to get nervous. It is getting closer to June, and in the tropics, that means hurricanes. Both men will rest easier when they are out to sea and sailing closer to their homeland. Finally, the last of the treasure is loaded. Chavez and Ovilla give a breath of relief and make preparations to depart. But before they can do so, word arrives from the highest court of Spain. King Philip had married the Duchess of Palma and is awaiting the final shipment of her dowry to fulfill the last ceremonies. The Plague Fleet is ordered to await this final shipment, and as much as the captains fear storms, the hurricane of the king's wrath, should they disobey, is far more terrifying. The final shipment takes 2 weeks to arrive. June comes and is gone, and the days of July slip past like driftwood on the Gulf Stream. As Chavez and Ovilla, tied up by loyalty to the crown, can only wait. Finally, the shipments arrive. Never before have they seen such riches. Among the precious stones and crowns was a heart fashioned from 130 match pearls, an emerald ring weighing 74 carats, a pair of earrings, each of 14-carat pearls, and a rosary of pure coral, the size of a small marble. 8 chests they were in all, and Ovilla stowed them in his personal cabin. And finally, on July 24th, the anchors rose, and the sails fell, snapping, full with wind. Providence allowed them only 1 week before she struck. On July 30th, a few leagues off the wild, untamed coast of Florida, a bleak sun rose behind black clouds and choppy waters. Around midday, the wind rose, shrieking through the rigging about 70 knots. By nightfall, it was well over 100. The ships of the fleet lost contact with each other, committed alone to their fate upon the reefs of Florida. Ovilla's ship went down first. The hull shattered on a reef. The surf pounded the deck, sweeping away every man aboard. As Chavez's ship suffered much of the same fate. But the vessel cracked completely in half. The stern was smashed free from the reef and flung high into the dunes of the beach. All aboard perished. Of the 12 vessels, 11 met the same end as Ovilla and Chavez. Only one, a captured French ship named Griffin, escaped disaster and sailed alone. When the sun rose the next day, 700 men were missing in one of the worst disasters in maritime history to this date. Wreckage was scattered 30 miles up and down the beach. Of the treasure, what wasn't sifting through the sand by the survivors' feet was lying at the bottom of the shark-infested waters. Ubilia and Chavez were both dead along with their men. Delays have stacked up, but were it not for the time spent waiting for the Queen's jewels to arrive, the Spanish Plate Fleet may have missed the hurricane by days. Meanwhile, some 70 survivors weathered the storm on the beach. A few of them were too weak to resist the pull of the tide and were swept back out to the sea. When the winds abated, the survivors scoured the coast for food and what treasure they could find. A lifeboat had washed up during the storm, and when it was found, it was quickly repaired and rigged with a sail. Fort Augustine lay 120 miles north of the main encampment of survivors, and it was that for which they sailed. News of the wreck spread fast. More specifically, news of the untold riches swirling around on the sandy bottoms of the Atlantic. The Spanish launched a desperate campaign to reclaim the gold, and for 3 years, they fought off sharks, barracudas, natives, and pirates. One British privateer by the name of Henry Jennings made a successful raid on a salvage encampment 1 year after the fleet's demise. Jennings brought 3 ships and 300 men against a mere 60 soldiers. The pirates made it to shore under small arms fire, but the encampment had little shot and less powder and could do almost nothing. As the men jumped from the longboats and splashed to the shore, they drew belaying pins, knives, cutlasses, and pistols. The soldiers at the encampment procured sabers, and in a moment, the 2 groups tied up. The Spanish soldiers fought better, but numbers ultimately decided to fight. The pirates killed most of the men, and a few who managed to break free and flee were either run down and taken prisoner or killed. The pirates took off with what treasure the sailors had managed to haul from the depths. Jennings' crew weren't the only pirates to attack the remnants of the fleet, but they were the most successful. Elsewhere, Spanish soldiers were able to protect the country's treasure. Finally, after reclaiming only a measly 30% of the treasure, the Spanish government abandoned the wrecks to the waves, and to whatever courageous souls were braved the depths in search for the lost treasure. The 1715 Spanish Plate Fleet disaster remains one of the worst disasters in maritime history. The Queen's jewels were never found.